Hey legends, welcome along to Hellmouth Hotline. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart. And just before we get started, if you want to get in contact with the show, let me know your feelings and how I'm doing, what I could do to make it better for you, or any suggestions on future episodes or shows or movies to check out and review on the podcast. Please get in contact via the email, hellmouthhotline@gmail.com. Probably the best way to get hold of me with the podcast been all over the internet and different platforms. It's very hard to get hold of any individual comments from time to time, so that email is probably the best bet to get a hold of me or get a hold of the show. This is Angel in this episode, the spin-off to Buffy. We're getting into that there. Loving this show. Had a real soft spot for this show. Absolutely love it. This is season 1, episode 4, a little episode called I Fall to Pieces. And it's one of these ones that, if you read the synopsis of it, you're kind of thinking, yeah, doesn't sound that interesting, but it's actually very, very good, this episode. This one here, Angel has to protect a young woman from a stalker, and not just any stalker. He has a supernatural way of doing things, let's just say, and very, very creepy indeed. There's a few, I said it before when it came to this series, the idea for this one was, it wasn't just a spin-off from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The intention of this show was to go a little bit darker with it than what the Buffy show had been, and some of the source or the material that they use, the subject matter is very dark, and this episode is a perfect example of this. When this stalker attacks a woman in her sleep in a very disturbing way, but basically, right, we'll get into the episode now. It starts off with Cordelia and Doyle there talking about the financial situation of Angel Investigations, and that we need to get some money into this place. And we're drinking week old coffee at this point, and Doyle is like, I completely agree with you. It's Angel likes to be the knight in shining armour, more or less, but he doesn't like it when it comes to the whole talk of getting paid sort of thing. He's in it for the mission and the mission alone, and Angel himself says it's something that he's not comfortable with, asking for money, and Cordelia's like, well, get over it. Doyle then has one of his visions from the powers that be, and he sees this woman called Melissa Burns at an office. She is in trouble, is the feeling that he's getting from it. They're very vague, a lot of these visions, but he gets where she works, her name, she's in trouble. Angel goes off to work, and at the office, Angel at the office where Melissa's working at, her and one of her co-workers are trying to get this birthday cake for their supervisor Penny, but the company screwed up with the name on the cake. It was Benji. They try to fix it by changing the letter from B to a P, but your woman's like, oh, you've only been here a few months and you already know 4 letters of my name, so it's Benji she sees or Penji she sees in the cake. A bouquet turns up, and it's for Melissa, and the message is from someone called Ronald. It disturbs her so much that she disappears off to the bathroom, and she takes some tranquilizers and then leaves the office to go home. But down in the parking garage, she's startled by a dark figure waiting near her car, and she seems relieved to see Angel, even though he's a complete stranger to her. And of course he's awkwardly tells Melissa that he knows that she's in trouble, he wants to help her, She's not really reassured. She declines his services, but he gives her his card anyway, and he's like, if you're in trouble, if you need help, call that number. Um, he then realizes that she was, when he gets back to the office, he's like, I scared her. But Doyle reassures him by saying that it sounds like she was scared already. But Angel's not convinced. But just before this happens, she's in an ATM, this girl Melissa, she's having trouble accessing her account. The PIN number's not working. And this guy, Ronald, approaches and informs her that he changed her PIN number on her bank account to the date that they first met. And yeah, he seems to be completely unaware of how arrogant he is and how inappropriate. And he's just verging on delusion of them and what their relationship is. And she's like, we only had the one date. And he's talking as if they're in a lasting relationship. And he reveals that he knows that she took pills earlier in the bathroom. This scares Melissa enough that she calls Angel Investigations, and during the meeting, Melissa informs the team that this guy, Dr. Ronald Meltzer, is an acclaimed neurosurgeon who performs critical surgery on infected nerve behind her eye, and he has been stalking her for nearly 7 months, ever since she allowed him to take her out, and only once, when he had the one date, she felt obligated to thank him. And she swears that, even though when he's not around, she can feel him watching her, and tells him that Meltzer knew that she had taken tranquilizers despite not being, there had been no possible way that he could have seen her or been in the restroom in the office. He wasn't there, how did he know this sort of thing? So where are we at? At night, at home that night, Melissa, she's getting ready for bed, she's getting undressed, and we cut to this guy, Ronald, and he's sitting in his own study, he's sipping on a drink, and it looks like he's watching a framed photo of Melissa on the desk, and when we finally pan around and see his face, there's an empty socket where his right eye should be. We cut back to Melissa's bedroom, and a disembodied eyeball is floating in the air behind her, following everything she's doing. So we cut over to Angel again, and he goes to the police department to ask Kate Lockley for help, this friend that he has at the police department. He wants to find out if Melissa ever filed a complaint, and Kate tells him that a report was filed, but Meltzer's lawyers took strong measures to protect their client, even going so far to take out a restraining order against her. And then she's like, oh God, the law firm is Wolfram and Hart. Have you ever heard of them? And he's like, I have. And she's like, the nasty crowd, more or less, but they turn out to be the... In every series, to cut back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer for a second, there was usually, in each season, there was an overarching story where there was a main villain, and that villain would be beat by the end of the season, and then there'd be a fresh villain introduced in the next season. Whereas here, in the Angel series for the full 5 seasons, the big bad is this law firm, Wolfram and Hart, and that was from the beginning of the series 1 right to the end of season 5. They were fighting this law firm, more or less. It's more or less not just a law firm, it's something much darker, indeed. But we'll get to that in due course in this podcast. Unaware of his dark past, Kate also tries to give Angel some insight into a stalker victim's mindset. She believes that even when Melissa's physically free, fear will continue to haunt her unless she can get angry enough to start to fight back mentally and emotionally. Kate offers to put a policeman on to watch Melissa's place for a night or two. Angel accepts the help, while Doyle at this point, he's playing bodyguard, and is with Melissa at work. And in the meantime, Angel then heads over to Meltzer's office, breaks in, looking for leads. One of the books on Meltzer's shelf disappears swiftly and smoothly into Angel's pocket when his unauthorized presence is discovered. Angel plays in Meltzer's megalomania, pretending to have a beloved wife needing emergency eye surgery from a top-notch neurosurgeon. Price, of course, being no object whatsoever. I'll pay whatever you want to help my wife out. And, Angel gives Meltzer his undercover name and phone number, then leaves. In another part of the clinic, Cordelia, she's interviewing a colleague of Meltzer's who reports he has a well-deserved reputation for incredibly difficult work with severed nerves and near miraculous success in reattaching limbs. She goes on to tell Cordelia, however, that Meltzer never shares his techniques and findings with the medical community at large, and he's a bit of a nasty piece of work too. Back at the office, Angel, he's searching for information about Vinper Natpulian, the author of Anything's Possible. I hope I said that name properly, because I hate that. That's probably one of my weakest points in these reviews, is actually the pronouncing people's names. This guy, he's the author of Anything's Possible. This is a book that he stole from Meltzer's office. He then sends off an email requesting a meeting. And the author, a doctor himself, has been a recluse for years now, ever since meeting Meltzer and giving him this book. So Angel and Meltzer attended. The author of the book, this guy is also a doctor. During the meeting Angel has with him, tells Angel that Meltzer attended many retreats with famous yogis that were able to master a combination of psychological and physical techniques that made the neurosurgeon an expert in psychic surgery. And the reason that he's gone into not hiding but a recluse and quit teaching and everything is because, everything that he was teaching at that point was based upon, hearsay and what could happen and what might be possible and what not. But after meeting Meltzer, he gave up because at that point, he fully believed in whatever this man could do. That night, Melissa, she's in her apartment, she's in her bed sleeping, and Meltzer's hands, just his hands, detached completely from his body, crawl across her apartment floor and crawl under the covers of her bed and start having, doing nasty stuff in the downstairs region. As I say, dark stuff in this episode, and it's filmed tastefully, but whenever you're thinking of a stalker and these people are just weirdos the best of times, so you get this supernatural character in this episode that can detach his hands and send them in to, get under the covers and go for the private parts. It's nasty stuff. She wakes up, looks under the covers, sees what's happening, freaks out. The cop that's on patrol outside the apartment. He runs in the rescue her. Another officer on patrol spots this guy lurking in front of the building. That's Meltzer. He confronts him, and he's like, "Put your hands up." And of course, Meltzer goes to put his hands up, but they're missing. They're in the apartment, attacking her at this point. The other officer runs in, hearing the screams, and he checks the room, checks the bathroom. There's nobody there, but at that, the hands attack from behind and strangle the cop to death. Melissa runs outside only to be caught and held before she can reach the street. she's relieved to discover it's Angel has grabbed hold of her at this point, and she begins to sob in reaction, and neither her or Angel see that Meltzer is watching them in the background from the bushes. The police arrive the police arrive with Kate. She comes over to ask Angel how, given the lack of evidence, he thinks the stalker could have possibly been the person to do this. So there's that thing where this is all happening, but how can we prove it, sort of thing, as far as law enforcement goes. But of course, this is all supernatural stuff, and well beyond what she's expecting from the case. So where are we at? Doyle also shows up, and he confesses to being deeply unnerved at the idea of stalker turned murderer, with them being the only ones between him and his victim. So he starts to freak out. Then at this point, he's going to stop at nothing, and anybody that's standing in his way, he's going to be coming after them. And he's like, "Oh crap, we're standing in his way." Angel and Doyle take Melissa back to Angel's apartment, and while Doyle starts the job of taping up every vent and doorway, Angel counsels a newly resolute Melissa over tea in the kitchen. Cordelia buttonholes Angel, and then as they take the elevator upstairs, tells him what she thinks of his plan to go after Meltzer alone, as Angel searches the phone book for a place to get steel boxes and watch to keep various body parts separate. So that's the idea, to get rid of this guy. Of course, they can detach limbs. How are we going to beat this guy if he can't be killed? And you can just rip an arm off and it's going to stay alive, more or less. But Angel's like, any body part, if it goes long enough without oxygen, it's going to start deteriorating. So it's a matter of just cutting this guy up and putting him in separate boxes for a while. Again, nasty stuff. So he's looking for boxes in the phone book. Cordelia answers a call on the private line. It's from Meltzer. This is the line that Angel gave him on the phone number, fake name. And the fake name is Mr. Jensen. And he asks him, he tells him, "I'll do the surgery, bring 100,000 to his office for the wife's operation." Angel, completely unaware that the cover's been blown, shows up with a safety deposit box. No money in it. Of course, Meltzer already knows this. Having remained seated, Meltzer lifts a tranquilizer dart, shoots Angel in the neck, and Meltzer explains that he developed the injector device while working with wild animals, and that the dart carries a paralytic drug designed to stop the heart. Picking up a scalpel, Meltzer stands as Angel convulses on the floor. And of course we all know at this point the stuff's actually probably having an effect that's making him convulse, but at the end of the day, he's a vampire. He's dead. His heart doesn't work. It's not going to kill him because he's already dead. And if he's already dead, he can't be killed. And stop talking nonsense, Rodney, and just keep talking about the episode. So we cut back to the apartment. Angel Investigations and Cordelia and Doyle. They're looking after Melissa. She's now fallen asleep in the bed, and they're finally able to relax for a bit. And thanks to Doyle's special mixture of whiskey and tea, let's put her to sleep. Duct tape's all over Angel's place. When Meltzer arrives, he sends an eyeball to watch from upstairs as one hand sneaks in to open up the door for him. Once inside, all the stuff that Doyle did, putting tape over the vents, it's not going to do much. The guy the fingers just pressed through and the wee hand came in. So, all to no avail. This guy manages to get in at the end of the day, knocks Cordelia out, throws her into a closet. The opening to the sewers, Doyle gets dragged down into that. Meltzer's left hand creates a diversion. Where are we at? I just jumped over a hell of a lot of stuff. Yeah, so Melissa at this point has woken up and she watches Meltzer as he waits for his left hand to crawl back over to him, climb up his leg and reach his wrist. No, sorry, that was outside the apartment. Like, the hand walks over like Thing from the Addams Family. And was it Thing? Was the hand? Or was it... No, Cousin, that was the hairy thing. So Thing was the hand, so that the hand's walking across like Thing. And he reaches down with his handless arm and connects onto the hand and that just heals up on the spot. But this time, Melissa doesn't scream. Meltzer, he's angry, accusing her of leaving him for an LA pretty boy, meaning Angel. Melissa tries to run, but Meltzer blocks her path. And she's tired at this point of dealing with his psychosis, and she begins to stand up to him. So this was the thing that Kate had referred to, unless she gets angry enough to fight him mentally, he's going to be, even if we put him away now, he could kill her every night in her dreams for the rest of her life. So this is a turning point for her as a character in this episode. She's like, he's the one who's afraid that he gave up on love a long time ago. Telling him she's through being afraid of him and that he can torture her, he can even kill her, but it won't change the fact that he's a loser. So she's, by saying all this stuff to him, his body starts rippling. It's like he's losing control of his power at this point. Just as that moment, Angel shows up. And of course, again, the drug wasn't going to kill him. Controlling his shock, Meltzer spits his teeth at Angel. It's like, he just opens his mouth, both rows of teeth shoot out, bite Angel in the wrist, and he slams him into the wall. And of course, Meltzer holds his face in agony. So it's weird stuff. When Angel comes within reach, Meltzer attacks with his scalpel, but Angel twists and the blade is embedded in his shoulder. Angel falls back and Meltzer throws his hand at Angel's throat. Angel breaks its grip, flings the hand away, seeing it try to scuttle back over to its owner. Angel reaches up to his shoulder, yanks out the scalpel and pins the wriggling hand to the floor. We cut back to Meltzer and he's looking at Melissa and his ear falls off as he says, we could have been so happy together. At which point Angel pops up behind him and whack, knocks his head right off his shoulders. Next day at Angel Investigations, the team finishes discussing the fate of Meltzer's body parts, but buried in 12 steel boxes under concrete and a new skyscraper in LA. Melissa drops by the office to thank everyone after she gives them a house plant. The conversation quickly winds down until Cordelia's insistent signal, coughing, trying to get Angel to, ask for money. Angel then, he reluctantly brings up the matter of the bill, and Melissa's like, that's the other reason I came, and she gives him a check for his services. She matter-of-factly takes an already prepared check from her purse. Again, I've already just said that. I need to read these notes a bit better. She hands it over and earnestly tells Angel that she hopes she never sees him again. And Angel just kind of agrees. So the episode finishes out with him finally getting some money into the bank account. Cordelia and Doyle, they're excited to get down to the bank and, put it onto their account. And let's go, Angel, let's do that. And he's like, well, you guys go ahead. I think I'll just stay here, not catching fire. So Doyle's like, yeah, you're pretty much the night's deposit guy, aren't you? And Angel goes back to his chair in the office, sits down to have a little moan to himself about Buffy, probably. This episode was again, I said at the very beginning here, you could read what the episode's about and think to yourself, ooh, no, I don't think this is going to be one of these really exciting episodes. And in a lot of ways, it's not. But the story that it tells is it's dark, and it's an eye opener to the possibilities of what can happen whenever somebody gets obsessed with somebody else. So I don't think there's any episodes in this series that are episodes that you could miss out. In a way, even the standalone ones are very strong, I found. But then the character of Angel really jumps out at me, because it's just, I like those characters that have not just, like, I like a hero with a dark past. I find they're probably some of the better heroes in TV shows and movies. But a character that's a vampire with a soul, that's just, it works, and it works well. Brilliant, brilliant series. So that's going to do it for this little review, guys. Hopefully I did a good enough job on it. I'm kind of tired at this point. It's very late at night, and what time is it? I'm currently recording this almost 2 hours after it should have been published online, so I'm running behind on my schedule one more time. But I'm also off work at the minute with an injured leg, so I've got plenty of time to sit in front of the mic and record podcasts. So we're going to, hopefully by the end of this weekend coming in, this Wednesday night at this point, hopefully by the end of this weekend I'll get myself a couple of weeks ahead. But that's information that's not really relevant to you listening to this podcast now. So I'll shut my face now and I'll leave, and I'll wish you all the best, and I look forward to you stopping by and checking out the show next episode. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.